All right, so still in a watch mode. I think we've covered that. Any questions? I don't see any. And I'll go over here, turn up the cycle trading indicator there. So now the Super AI, by the way, this is something that Joe has created, and we are using it primarily in our option spread scalper class. Some of you are in that. We just completed the 10. We went 10 weeks instead of 6. We always over deliver, and we're going to do a Q&A next week. But we have some new technology that we're rolling out. Ultimately, we'll find a way to give you guys the option to have access to this, certainly in mentoring the Super AI here. It gives an overall probability of 62% bullish here on Bitcoin on the daily. And that is based on 7 or 8 indicators. I've been asking Joe for a long time here to combine these. And there's actually another one called a momentum indicator down below, which is also turning higher and is bullish on the TSI ERI. So I'm a little bit nervous on my shorts here for those reasons, because it's been a really solid additional indicator. And so but anyway, that includes the candlestick patterns. These are neutral. If it has bullish engulfing, it will label it on the chart. And looks like he's fixed that. There were some tweaks to be made on that, but here we go. Bullish engulfing candle right there. So if you're not really clear on these, it'll tell you bullish engulfing candles when the big green candle kind of engulfs the red one before it. So we have one here. It's telling you, and this wasn't quite there. It looks like just a hair's throw away, but for the most part, bullish engulfing candles and bearish engulfing candles are worth paying attention to, and so that's part of this Super AI, and I'm just giving you a sneak peek for that. It includes a VWAP, volume weighted average price. That is currently neutral, but stochastics bullish, momentum bullish, money flow bullish, RSI is bullish, volume imbalance is bullish. Now we're waiting on a volume spike. That's a greater than average amount of volume in that bullish direction. And that's usually when that's a footprint that the institutions are coming in. And these are all things Joe's created. And we originally had some conversations about making our buy and sell blocks as a gradient based on volume. But let's not get into the weeds. Total net score probability 62% bullish here on a daily time frame. But on the weekly, here's the thing. Always look at both. On the weekly time frame, huge sell block here, 42% bearish, skewing bearish on the weekly, getting some buy imbalance there short term. But look, guys, we have that big sell block. So I'm still, if we get a little bit of a bounce here, so be it. But I think it'd be short lived and we roll over. So it is nice to have these extra tools to be able to navigate these markets. So, all right. Now, that being said, not a whole lot else here that we want to look at. And we did see a 4-hour rocket back here the other day, which I think is, ignore at your own peril, which I did. Let's see. I'm going to turn on the EMA ribbon. Again, I really only like to be bullish when we're above the EMA ribbon. So, again, invalidation for me is up here around 74K. And, then unfortunately, then I would be getting out and taking losses on those futures options. But as of now, I don't see a strong push. Anything could happen here. It's very much news related. But let's say we get some scary news and China says, hey, here's some more missiles to blow up the USS Abraham Lincoln, God forbid. We just really don't want to get dragged into this war here. So anyway, a lot of uncertainty. For these reasons, I'm being very careful and advise the same. But we'll see how it goes. And let's see. So that's about it on that. On Bitcoin, let's go a little bit further and get into some of the news as well. I did say that we'd cover some of that and see what's happening. Just low volume day. Let's take a look. Also, I want to pull up the news and events and see. I know there's economic data this week. The red folders are the important ones. The CPI came in right in line here. No big surprises. So kind of dodged a bullet. But let's see, later today, President Trump speaks. Not sure what that's about. Probably won't move the markets, but you never know. Tomorrow, though, unemployment claims. And now this is probably going to be, see, this could easily be the catalyst to go lower. Recently, I saw a news piece that I shared with you guys. Now, I thought this was recent, that we were projecting positive jobs and it came out negative. And we also know that they come in and rewrite these. So the previous, so the previous was 213, but then they came in and revised it, I think, to like negative 96K. They're going to fudge these numbers because it's midterms coming up. They'll do that, and then they'll release it, and then they'll quietly readjust it later. But if we do have any negative surprises here on unemployment, that'll certainly push the markets lower. And we know already that unemployment is going higher from all these AI jobs that are being lost. These bigger companies, while it might support the price in the stock market on the overall economy, there are a lot of jobs being eaten up by AI. And so my recommendation to anybody out there that has a job could be automated, just become AI enhanced, learn AI, and this is changing fast, but you don't need to get into agents and all that really fancy stuff. But anyway, reach out if you have any questions on that. I've been going down the rabbit hole and using Poppy AI quite a bit. So Friday, GDP, that's Britain. We don't really care about them. On an economic standpoint, we have core PCE price index. What is this? Prelim GDP, nobody cares. Friday, that's all early. JOLTS job openings, maybe, but it's a good week to kind of be careful. And those are the things, but mostly the unemployment claims that could bugger this whole movement, but we'll see. All right, so let's see on the news events. For some reason, I get all of the AI version here, and then when I get on my things and mobile, it'll give me the news articles. So waiting on those to pull up. We can always go to the boards and see if anything's timely, but the markets aren't really moving. So there is that. Show me the charts. I'll tell you the news. Nothing to worry about here. And this is a 2-month chart. Let's go back onto that. So again, we could crab walk sideways for the month. If we do wind up lower or we wick off the bottom, then that is all bullish. I'd rather see us come down here and maybe touch on this EMA right there, and that would be, I believe, the 100. If we were to add on the 200. Usually the 100 EMA gets touched, and then the 200 SMA. I don't want to get into the weeds. I'm going to recreate that study for TradingView later, and I have a model for that that I emailed myself. Actually, maybe I'll pull that up just to show it to you guys. But it's sort of, in the end of the day, it's sort of like, who cares, right? We need to see what the markets are going to, how they're going to react. So with that out of the way, TradingView, I did post a new study here based on the iBIT here. So let's jump over and take a look at the iBIT and the unfilled gaps. So that also points toward a lower move down. We have an unfilled gap right down here on the iBIT. So let me move that, and you can see these have all filled. We have some to the upside, but all of these gaps, we still have some to the downside as well, all the way back in here, and that's where we see those buy blocks. We have an unfilled gap all the way back here, and they can fill. The one from November of 2024, remember I had this on there, finally filled all the way over here. So these do act as magnets, and I'm going to move one, oops, grab this one, put it down in here where that other one is. We'll see if that comes down and fills. All right, but we'll see what happens. So in the near term, I think pull down, fill that gap, hit this buy zone on the iBIT, and then go. And if we do, but if we were to draw farther, I did this on a percentage basis because that's the only way to really to forecast Bitcoin's price. For us to go down and fill this gap, it's only like an 8%, right? 8%, 9%. To fill that gap here. So 10% lower on Bitcoin. You would have, hang on a second, why? I got to move some stuff around. I was doing some work on the laptop here this morning and make that full screen. Okay. So yeah, the price on Bitcoin right now is, bear with me here, it is 70,000, trying to get back above 70K. So 10% lower, call it to be 77K, sorry, 73K. 63K, 10% of 70,000, 7,000, my 63K. Brain's not working yet, you guys. So basically 63K, but here's the point. For it to get to 50K, be looking at a 25%. So if we were to go down to the iBIT at 30, and that would be to fill this other gap, which I have an alert, that would be 25% lower. So from 70K, 25% lower would be 35.17, would be 53K. That's exactly where it would go. So guys, this I think that's the play that most people aren't talking about. A 24% drop, call it 25% drop from here on Bitcoin would put us right in that 50K region, and it would fill that gap on the iBIT. One of these days, maybe I'll really attack that, why that would happen. But look at that. It goes exactly 25%, puts us right down to 52K, which I've been saying for a long time here. And so there. All right. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but that's kind of my base case. And if we're invalidated, we'll change that up on the 1 hour time frames. Just not a whole lot happening. The TSI is pushing up higher without a lot of upward momentum. On the 4 hour, there's sell pressure up here and buy pressure down here. But so it really kind of could go either way. I don't like that there's an ERI here. The RSI is above 50, so that's bullish-ish. On the 4 hour, if we go to a 12 hour, it's bullish engulfing candle. So I'm just kind of watching and waiting for this thing, seeing which way it goes. Probably I should sort of just ease out of half of those contracts, but we'll see what happens. I'll watch and monitor that as we go. I think that's about all I wanted to cover. Is there anything else that's really timely? Let's see. I do want to pull up the USDT study. Because that's been really interesting and has been a good guide for us. Let's see, I'll just type that in here, USDT. You guys have a copy of this and the USDT crash study, so I'll open that in a new tab. So we pushed up above 9% or 9 on that briefly and then pulled back. So we're getting a little bit of a relief, but I don't think we're done yet, right? So over here, let me just go full screen on this. And we can see, actually, yeah, we spiked up to 9% briefly, but then it came back down and it's been sort of acting as resistance here, building up a support level. This is not, I guess it's sort of a bull flag. As we break for the crash zone and zooming out, last time it did get up in this 9% range, right? And so that was really when we were in the depths of the bear market here. November of 2022, December, it was getting a little bit better. And that's when I was saying it's time to get back in the market when there's blood in the streets. But so that's what's happening. We're kind of building up momentum to get back above that 9% of Tether dominance. But zooming out here, came back down. This is our sort of little bit of relief rally, but it's still crypto crash zone. And, we touched into bear market territory. I mean, I think we could redraw these a little bit. We probably we're in bear market here. This sort of not exact locations. But point being, a little bit of relief along in here. And if we were to drop down on Bitcoin to that 52K level, we'd spike up in this range because it's inversely related. And stay there for a while, 6 months or so, into April, and then maybe we kind of start recovering April, May, June. Kind of depends on what happens in the economy. If they start printing liquidity, I saw a news article today that Japan is going to start injecting a lot of liquidity. So, we can't be married to timelines, but certainly the visuals on this, I overlaid it a little closer earlier today. So these match this push up and zigzag. So, so far it's following this pretty closely. And at any point, though, we could see this further drop in Bitcoin money flooding into stables. And we're really into that bear market territory for a number of months, probably. Okay, so the good news is, what do we do? Buy low, sell high. You can only buy low when prices are low, and that happens in the bear markets. All right, no huge newsflash there, but just kind of cementing that. This has been a very useful study on how to know where things are going. Any questions, you guys? And what I think what I'll do is we'll hop on over to some other things that we normally would talk to. So far, Bitcoin just still trying to break above in that 70K region. I'll see if it does. Normally, we have that afternoon sell-off. If we do start closing above there, however, I'm going to be a little more nervous on those shorts. Good news is, if you want, by the way, I can pull that up. But anyway, Coinbase does have perpetual shorts available now, and they quietly introduced that as I did a video on recently. So that's interesting, and that's good because the actual futures contracts, they expire. They're a little bit more clumsy. I don't like using them personally. All right, total market cap. Let's go check everything out. So also bearish, look big overall. The markets have a big sell block in here. This is a big cloud overhead. I think this rolls over, you guys. Market cap, you have alerts already down about 1.85 trillion, all the way down 1.8 trillion. This is the buy zone, and this is more than likely a bear flag. I guess we could redraw this and extend it out. So the not sure what I was drawing there. Well, that's the measured move right from the, okay, let's just bear with me here. So the larger macro bear flag, I'll go to a weekly chart. And these are pretty solid, the top of the market here and then down to here, bear flag there, the measured move. Let's just do this together. It's this. Let's just get rid of that. I had MacGyvered that thing for a deeper slope, and that was wrong. Let's do it all over. We'll clone that line. The bear flag target from a break of the bottom. That's the technical place. Look at that, you guys. The measured move on this is right down into our bounce zone around 1.84 trillion. So if you have some powder dry, honestly, I'd wait for that to happen. Could we be putting in a bottoming pattern? It's possible, but I really don't think so. Look at all of that sell pressure right along in here. More than likely that we see this kind of reject, and then we head down from there into the bear bounce zone. Okay, not rocket science. It doesn't mean it's 100%, but the odds in our favor, that's how that's going to play out. All right, similarly on, let's just stick with the weekly. Well, hang on a second. So tons of sell pressure on total too. This is the altcoins. Altcoins not looking too good. Be careful with these ERIs if they're not supported with fresh turn higher and greens on these. I don't like this turning green in the midpoint. Not strong enough. So with that, I would discount it. But seeing a little bit more bullishness on total too on the weekly time frame, but have that big sell block. So I think it chops and goes down. So all of these will be reasonably similar. Same thing on total 3. We can look at things like total DeFi, everything else. A lot of sell pressure, people trying to get out of positions. And so look, guys, this is not a bullish scenario. Let's take a look at the CME futures, see if we have any CME gaps here to fill. We do have one still up above, but no guarantee on this pivot point chart. Let's see, it is giving us a question about, is this a pivot low? We don't know that yet. I think this still rejects, comes down, and then the pivot low is lower. I'm not going to get into these pivot indicators in this class, but at any rate, we have, let's see, gold and silver pushed higher, still pushing higher because of this uncertainty in the Middle East. Doesn't really help us. The VIX had spiked up. Look at the VIX on this the other day, pushed all the way to 35. And that was back on Monday, I believe. That was when the war fears, the Strait of Hormuz, and the oil, getting blocked. So basically, that is backed off a bit, but the trend here is still more volatility to come, so that means opportunity, but probably more downside on these. Okay, so looking at the actual futures contracts on these Bitcoins, let's not get into that. I think this pivot indicator is kind of throwing that off. Let me see if it's that. What I will say, though, is I will say this. This is an interesting clue. On the Bitcoin perpetual futures, there were strong buyers down here, whereas on the Bitcoin, there's a bearish sell block above. And I was trying to mold those into a thesis, and which one would be right. and I'm so used to watching Bitcoin, I went with Bitcoin. But I think the futures, here's my point, the futures are could be very telling of where the price is going to go because this market is entirely hedged. If there's a ton of buyer support and orders on these perpetual futures down here, what'll happen is the like Coinbases and Binances will go and they'll have to buy up Bitcoin. Sometimes they'll hedge and take the opposite side, but a lot of times they'll go out to hedge if they are going to lose, if they're taking the opposite side of these longs. They want to make money on the upside as well, so they're not just paying out. They're going to go and buy the underlying a lot of the times. So this kind of drove the price of Bitcoin to push up a bit. I think so. It's not 100%, but I'm going to start watching that for clues, and especially when they're contrary to what the underlying is. Similarly with Solana, look, there's a lot of sell pressure here at 91 on Sol. So I'm going to keep buying short futures on these. And if Sol gets up to 90 and 95, I will buy some more on those more than likely. And the underlying though showing buyer support for the call options. Sorry, not the calls, the perpetual futures. So, and you can long these and short these. I'm currently short these. Why? We're drowning. If we start getting up above here, I might say, all right, maybe we need to get out of this.